The love of money is the root of all evil. I personally believe this statement can be problematic. I think it can be problematic because it distorts many people's relationship with money subconsciously and ultimately affects how much money they can attract into their lives and how they can relate to money in a positive way. Let's just take the statement from scratch. The love of money is the root of all evil. So if I'm thinking about a root, I'm thinking about a tree. So if I imagine evil being a tree that's standing upright and firm, its roots are what makes it stand upright and firm. Its roots is where it gets its nutrients and minerals and everything to be able to continue growing and bearing fruit, branches, and so on and so forth. So without its roots, it cannot stand and it cannot continue to produce what it needs to produce, which is evil. So essentially, for me, this statement is kind of saying that if I were to take evil, it's the love of money that's allowing evil to be. Now, let's just ponder this for a bit. Personally, when I think about it thoroughly, I think about it and I'm like, wait, well, but people do evil without having money. There's people who don't have money and still commit evil acts. Evil, I believe, has existed way before money was existing or before money was created. So how can we say that money is what's allowing evil to be? Is the root of all evil? It's basically what's nourishing evil. So first and foremost, this statement is kind of iffy because if I'm honest with myself, I believe evil is a possibility that exists in all beings, all human beings. We have the potential to enact evil and enact good. And based off our choices or our past experiences, we enact one over the other. And an action can be seen as evil or good. So actually, the potential for good and evil exists within us, with or without money, right? Another main reason why I think this statement is problematic is because, personally, from my experience, I think it has the power to ruin one's relationship with money. Now, let's think about money. Money by itself, in my opinion, is neutral. Money can be used for so many different things. Money for me is like a middleman. It's like a medium of exchange. It's used to measure value. Of course, money is not the only means and ways by which we can get goods and services, but in our current 3D reality we live in here on earth, we use money to exchange for goods and services, and we use it as a benchmark to be able to give value to different things. So money is able to give value to different things, whereas in the past maybe there were other means of trading like barter trade and many other different means of trading, right? So money has kind of like standardized it. It's probably a creation that has not always existed in humanity's lifetime, but it's something that we use. So we use money to be able to acquire goods and services. Of course, not everybody needs money. Some people are able to get these goods and services directly from nature and do not use money to be able to get this. Some people do work in exchange for these goods and services. So I just want to just make that clear, at least for me in my perspective. So when I look at money, I see it as something that is neutral, as a tool, right? And this tool can be used for positive things in the same way it can be used for negative things. People use money to help people, and people use money to destroy people by creating weapons, bombs, ordering for assassins, different things to harm other people. People use money to bully people, and so on and so forth. So when I look at it this way, and I place money in the middle, I realize it's the human being who uses the money for one thing or another. So in all honesty, from my perspective, it's the human being who has the ability to enact evil or good and using money as a tool. So when we just place the blame on money and saying the love of money or money is the root of all evil, we're basically trying to say that once a person loves money, they are likely to do evil. Firstly, I think this removes some kind of self-accountability and self-reflection on human beings to be able to look at ourselves to see why we are doing the things that we're doing. It's important as human beings that when we do something, we reflect on it and we look back at ourselves and not put the blame on an external thing like money. You know what I'm saying? Because then when money gets that bad rep, it creates this direct relationship between money and evil, just like this statement is doing. And when that happens, I think ultimately it allows people to want to create this mindset where they don't want to touch money, or they don't want to love money, or they don't want to be close to money, because to love money is to be evil. And I'm sure most of you, just like myself, do not want to be to identify ourselves as evil. We don't want to take part in any evil acts. So then automatically it's kind of programs us to think that, okay, then we don't want anything to do with money. This may not necessarily always be conscious, but this may be a subconscious and an unconscious programming that is taking place in our minds. I'm saying this out of experience. I, like maybe some of you, grew up in an Orthodox Christian household, and these were some of the teachings that we got growing up. We repeated it over and over and over to the point where it's sort of sitting in and imprinted in our subconscious programming. So it's part of our operating system and our paradigm. So without necessarily thinking about it, we have this underlying relationship with money and with people who have money, because we associate those people who have money as people who love money, so they are evil. And the media also usually doesn't help with this, because I would say the media tends to show people who have huge amounts of money, wealthy people, in that evil light. So on and on and on, this kind of picture is continuously created, and we begin to have this perspective of money and always associate it with evil. But this becomes a problem because, like I said, money is a medium of transfer for goods and services. We use money to get things. So the same money that you want, when you want it, subconsciously you may begin to feel like you are evil. But then you need this money sometimes, the whatever I'm filming on, the place I'm living, the food I eat, sometimes the water I buy to drink, just basic things we need in our lives. We use money as a means of transaction to get these things. So in some essence, we need money. I don't want to say need ultimately, but I'm just using that word to say that in order to get most of our goods and services, we require money to be able to make these transactions. So, and most of us, I would say, would feel comfortable and would feel happy if we had more than enough of it to take care of our basic needs. So there's nothing really wrong with it. But then, because of this kind of programming and statements like these, when you want or desire to have more of money, you can begin to see yourself as evil, or other people may begin to see you as evil. And this creates conflict between us wanting to get money and us wanting to be good people. So ultimately, it can create this mindset where we tend to stay in poverty mindsets and see poverty as a righteous thing. And fundamentally, I believe this is problematic because we are dynamic, infinite, limitless, abundant spirit beings. We are manifestations of the divine. We are manifestations of source energy, manifestations of God, which creates all things. We are limitless. There's no limit to what we can have. So in essence, there's no limit to the amount of money we can have. We are wealthy in all forms, from health to wealth, to ideas, to compassion, to emotion. There's an abundance of everything that exists for us, and we can tap into this if we stay in alignment with that. So as long as we're in alignment with that kind of mindset, we'll live an abundant reality, because nature by nature is inherently abundant, and we are nature beings. We are natural beings. We are part of nature, so we are also abundant as well and limitless. The only thing is, if we believe we are not, and we believe there's a limit to what we can have, whether it's money, whether it's food, whether it's water, then that is the reality that we'll experience, because nature gives us that free will and free range for imagination. So whatever we imagine, we will experience. So if we imagine ourselves as scarce beings, or beings that are not wealthy, or beings that take righteousness in poverty, or beings that are good and hence we don't have money, that is the reality we're going to create. And I say this not to say that if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have money, that you are consciously doing it. I'm sharing this as my experience of realizing at a certain point in my life that There were programs such as these that were running my life in terms of my relationship with money. Another saying that comes to mind is, it is easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, if you were like me and you were born with that orthodox Christian understanding and your life goal was to get to heaven one day, you definitely do not want to be rich in some way or forms, unconsciously or subconsciously, because there's this relationship created between money or being rich or being wealthy and not going to heaven and not being a good person. So these are some of the reasons why I think this is problematic. And from my experience, I saw a shift in my life once these programs were something that I gave power to and I began to believe. At a certain point in my life, I ended up working on Wall Street, and it wasn't really something that I enjoyed that much. So I stepped away from it. Maybe one day I'll share the story of this, but I stepped away from it and went on my life journey seeking my purpose, which led me to seminary and so many other places. And during my time here, I was seeking my passions and seeking something that was deeper aligned to who I was, that had more tangible value to my essence, right? And I believe during this time, I held on to sayings like this and painted those with money or the wealthy people as evil people. It's almost like I had this program that was dormant, but now I kind of reactivated it and I began to see the world that way. So everywhere I looked, that was what I saw. And slowly it kind of crept into my being and created a certain relationship with people who were wealthy. Without knowing them, it's like unconsciously we will tend to judge them. That as long as you have money, then you must be evil. You must have done something evil to get there. But when we are honest with ourselves and we look in the world without this bias, we will realize that there's a lot of people there are a lot of people who have been able to create wealth for themselves and make a lot of money and be rich without having to be evil. These people are people who use their money for good. Maybe the media may not show you, maybe they may not pop up on social media, but they exist. And you and I can be one of those people by realigning how we think about money and how we think about the love of money. The love of money for me at this moment in time, after going through my reflection and seeing what this was doing in my reality, seeing how this program was preventing money from coming around me or making it a little more difficult for me to attract money with ease, made me realize that the love of money may not necessarily be the root of all evil. Because once I began to understand about subconscious programming, about changing one's vibration to be in likeness with what one wants to create their own reality, I realized that the love of money may actually be what will attract money. What do I mean by this? Now, take money for a second as a neutral being or an entity. Imagine money being an entity like yourself or a person like yourself. Don't you go where you are loved? You wouldn't want to go where you are hated, right? Even your pets, be it a cat or a dog or any other pet you have, will not want to go where it is hated. It will always want to go where it is loved. In that same way, money as a vibration or as a being can sense the vibration you have towards it. So if you're somebody who now hates money or hates people who have money or hates anything associated with money, then money is going to be scared of you. Money will stay away from you because money doesn't want to go where it is not loved. In this reality that we're living in, which operates with the law of attraction, things go where they are a vibrational match. So if you as a person feel wealthy, that means you are in love with wealth, you are in love with abundance. Then guess what? Money, being a reflection or a representation of wealth and abundance, will come to you. You have to become one with it, and you become one with it by being it. And if you are wealthy, you feel abundant, then you are in love with yourself, you're in love with wealth, you're in love with abundance. So money will find its way to you. So the love of money is actually how you attract money into your life, and money that you can use to do good. If you think other people are using money for evil, then you can be the change. You and I can be the change. We can use money positively and show that money can be used for positive. And money is a tool, and it will be used based off how we vibrate. and allow those who are choosing to use it for evil do theirs. That's how they are moving with it. But do not make the correlation between the love of money being the root of all evil, because it will ultimately affect your relationship with money. It will affect your ability to attract money into your life. And you will be in a state where you don't feel abundant. It will affect your vibration in terms of how you feel wealthy, how you feel abundant, how you feel limitless. And all these are not truly part of your nature, because as a natural being coming from the divine source energy, coming from God, you are wealthy. You are infinitely wealthy. So it's important to retune our mindsets to this kind of knowing, because ultimately it will help us. It will help us step into our true vibration so we can get what we need to be able to purchase our different needs, so we don't have to stay in poverty, so we don't have to hold our chests up and hold poverty in some kind of righteousness. There's no righteousness in being poor. There's no righteousness in holding on to that like a badge of honor and suffering, when you have all possibilities available to you, and you can be your wealthiest self imaginable and even beyond your wildest imaginations. So these are some of my reflections and my thoughts after going through my personal life experiences with money and my how I saw it, and realizing the kind of relationship I had with it based on sayings like this, and how I've been able to realign myself and rethink about these statements to be able to attract money into my life now, and be able to have a better relationship with money, so I can get it and use it for good things and wonderful things, and also hopefully reshape the perspective so that when other people see, they can see that it's possible to have money and do good. And I hope this stream of thought has been helpful to you. I hope it's brought you some value. I hope it's brought you something to think about. And if it has, please do share a comment if you have any thoughts, or if you have any reflections. If you think it will help someone that you know, please share the video with them. And as always, thank you for liking and for subscribing, and hit the notification icon for more videos as we continue this journey of learning and expanding our realization into greater awareness. Take care and have a wonderful day.